Where's here we go. No? Here we go. Oh, probably need to grab my homeboy right here. Nice. Oh, alrighty. Motherfucking how? Alright, I just gotta. Okay. Fucking. Wow, it really doesn't. Okay. Then. Why does this say offline? Oh, no, we're online. Oh, no, we're online. Oh, man, now I'm fucking hearing myself. Oh, man, now I'm fucking. There we go. Oh, while we are present, go ahead, pop out this here chitty chat. Over here, we're going. The fuck? Okay. Pop out this here chitty chat. And then up here, we're going to pop out this here chitty chat. Boom, baby. Go ahead and post this. And now what I want to do, I want to go here. Yeah, here we go. Self promo. Okay, we're in there. Now, and I'm pretty sure Techies one don't got one either. Please spell icon. Um. All right. got that. We asked two different things. Wow, the epic streamers like my post. Oh, where did that come from? Didn't come from here. Didn't come from here. Where is this coming from? What the fuck? Yeah, here. Gotcha, General. Oh, okay. Ah, well. Oh, well, worth a shot, I guess. Is it what it is? Oh, well. We got in the yeet chord, so... So what's on the docket today? We're going... Hold up. No, I'm just fucking hearing shit, I guess. We gonna scroll down Twitter, or we gonna watch some YouTube video? Yeah, whatever. We just scroll down scroll down Twitter for now. Yo, like, real talk? I keep getting these fuck ass notification noises and I have no idea where the fuck they're coming from. Well, I got the fucking Tectone Discord just talking about self-promo shit. So, a hub account. Eh. Oh well, it is what it is. I'm using only 3 words. Only 3 words. Was literally born in DC. Yeah, I mean that's what I've heard, but like he still has I mean he still has allegiance to Somalia from what I hear. Jesus. Oh, that's no good. Hopital. Hopital indeed. Sorry for my English, it's my fifth language. It is very stupid language. Apparently everyone's talking good shit about Silk Song, so that's fun. I've never played the first one. It is what it is. Jesus. Man, this is just gonna be me scrolling down Twitter just saying, Jesus. But I mean, come on. 50 Cent as Balrog. I don't know which certain streamer he's talking about right there. Well, bro, I mean, if it's to that point, get some chairs in your room. Like, I ain't got no chairs in my room, so, like, where else are people supposed to sit? I'm not gonna make them take their fucking pants off. Like, goddamn. Oh, man, what's he got against the Chili Peppers? To be perfectly honest, there's nothing that I won't, like, sit down and fucking listen to if I don't have control over the music. Like, if someone else has the radio station, I'll listen to it. I don't give a fuck. Alright. Bro. Ain't no way this dude ain't fucking feel this shit, bro. The way he just looks at the camera, it's just, oh, I'm up. God damn. Dude just got, bro. That's wild. What's on YouTube? What's in didn't Techie put up another video like earlier today or yesterday or no? No. I probably fucking saw that Nux video and tried and thought it was that. Tears of the Gods. Is the fucking text Discord just like going breaking? Ah. Hello, boys. What are we... What What about this? Motherfucker.
A couple of months ago, I made a video where I got people to assign colors to each of the 12 months of the year, and then I analyzed the data in various ways. That video did particularly well, so I decided to do the same thing with 4 different topics. This video is part 1 of that 4-part series where I'll be covering the data for school subjects. Out of every single possible topic to assign colors to, this was by far the most widely requested, and the most submitted to on the forum.
I would like to just say, I never really, color-coded my stuff in school. Though I will say, because of civilization, I now associate science with blue, culture, fucking social studies with purple. I don't know. I guess English is red, and then math is green, I guess? No! The little thing came off my thing. Oh, that is just horrifying. Oh. Oh, man. It's just completely, off, too. Wow, okay. I didn't realize playing with this over and over again would make it fall off eventually. Dang. I'm gonna have to get some fucking super glue for that shit.
In which there are unwaveringly 12 of, there are plenty of potential school subjects that could be eligible for this poll. I didn't want...
fuck. Alright, I gotta go to the other room real quick. Hey, alright, I am back.
Not to select too many, because I was worried that this might dissuade people from submitting, and I thought the data would probably be not as interesting for super specific subjects. I generally wanted to go for options that most people would know and potentially have a color selection for. This led me to generally discarding
art history,
or college-only courses.
What color do you make art? It's all the colors.
As I figured a solid chunk of my audience likely hasn't hit post-secondary yet. Also, things like poetry and literature, while absolutely very different subjects, would be combined into just English, as most high schools didn't tend to have them separated out. I ended up doing this for every single subject. Although, in hindsight, I probably should have made an exception for chemistry, biology, and physics, but oh well. That gave me these 9 subjects that most people generally would know and have taken. I also decided to completely scrap all that most people...
Math, English, science, history, geography, art... music and drama. Okay. I don't know, cause usually you don't take a drama class unless you specifically are oh, I want to take drama. Same with music, and you'll usually be taking an art course, but I don't know, maybe my high school is different from a lot of other people's. And also, history and geography are both just social studies, at least from what I remember. Even though they are 2 very different things, but, you know.
Generally would know and have taken. I also decided to completely scrap all classes for non-English languages, since the audience of people taking this poll come from all around the world, meaning the actual languages people had as classes would be very different. I considered making one option as foreign languages, but I figured this would probably lead to pretty annoying data for the same reasons. I think languages would be better in a kind of poll for those languages and not lumped in with the school subjects anyways. With that out of the way,
but
in 3 cases, I also combined different subjects into one color selection, with the help of a couple of friends' input, since different high schools have different names for these subjects, despite being generally pretty similar. We have business, finance, and economics, technology, computers, and coding, and home ec, nutrition, and childcare. That brings us up to a total of 12 subjects for this poll, which I figured is a pretty solid number. Overall, the forum got 1,910 different responses, and each of the school subjects got, on average, 1,746 submissions. This ranged from 1,469 for the least submitted to school subject and 1,865 for the most submitted to school subject. Just like with the months to colors video, I'm going to go through each subject one by one, share their top colors, alongside the most common reasonings for each of the top colors. Then, after I finish all 12 subjects, we'll proceed to the miscellaneous section, where I talk about other interesting stats that I found, such as seeing how certain countries diverge from the norm.
Ah, interesting.
So, let's get on with it. Unlike the months, the school subjects don't exactly have a definitive order, so what I've decided to do is start at the school subject that got the least votes overall, and go upwards, ending with the subject with the most votes. Our first subject is Home Ec, Nutrition, and Childcare, with 1,469 votes overall, and a winning color of light pink with 108 votes.
Makes
Out of
sense.
all 12 school subjects on this poll, this one had the least agreement on the color, as the winning color was only selected by 7.35% of the population. Right behind light pink,
Interesting.
and I mean literally right behind, we have light green with 107 votes, only a single vote of separation between the top two. Following that, we have light orange in third, orange in fourth, and light yellow in fifth. There are two patterns we can see with this subject. The first one is that the pastel colors tended to dominate over the fully saturated and darker counterparts, and the second one is that cooler colors, such as purple and blue, tended to be less chosen than warmer colors, such as orange and yellow. The most common reasoning for choosing colors for this subject were that people tended to associate this class with a cozy, soft, or comforting vibe. This is what led to the pastel colors being chosen more than anything else. As for individual
Makes
colors,
sense.
light pink ended up being the most chosen option, primarily because people associated it with being a more traditionally feminine subject. A couple of people even recognized within their answers that this association was misogynistic, but that it was still the color that was ingrained into their head. As for the other
Wow.
colors, light green, light orange, and orange were also heavily chosen because of the nutrition aspect. People tended to associate the greens, specifically light green, with healthy foods such as vegetables, and associated the oranges with baking foods such as bread and muffins. The second least chosen subject was drama with 1,554 submissions, and
Jeez,
the winning
dark
color
red.
of dark red with 189 submissions, or 12.16% of the vote.
Interesting.
In second and third, we have another one-off battle.
It makes
with red
sense.
taking
It's
second
the
with 112
it's
votes,
the color
and
of
black
passion.
taking third
And
with
like
111.
drama is like
In fourth place is purple with 101, and tied for fifth is dark purple and red pink, both with 90. The most common reason for dark red, which propelled it to the top, was that dark red, or red, is the color that is associated with the stage curtains on theaters. The reds were also generally chosen because of the
called
association
curtains.
with love or passion, or just
Yeah.
strong emotions in general, although this association often led to other bright colors as well, such as the purples. Finally, another common association I noticed was that people associating drama with either white or black, because those are the colors of the drama masks. Next up, we have business, which had four standout colors. Dark green in first with 191 votes, yellow in second with 171, green in third with 164, and gray in fourth with 141.
I'm surprised dark
In
green.
fifth, we have another tie with
I
both
guess it
yellow
looks
green
more
and
like
light
money.
green at 86. There was a very distinct association that propelled the greens, particularly dark green, to the top. The fact that green, or dark green, is the color associated with money and dollar bills,
Money.
which is what this class tended to focus on. This is also the same reason that propelled yellow to the top,
Money.
except instead of dollar bills, the yellow
Money.
association came from gold, or gold coins.
Yeah.
As for the
yellow
color gray getting
or,
so many
like,
votes,
gold.
this was primarily due to people associating it with corporations and gray uniforms, and people considering it a dull or boring subject, calling gray the most
Interesting. That's
dull
where
and
the
boring
gray
color.
comes from.
Our fourth subject is gym, or phys ed, which had 1,746
Wow.
submissions,
Overwhelmingly
and a clear winner of the color
orange.
orange to represent it, with 247 submissions,
Huh.
or 14.23%
I guess because it's the
of all
color of
submissions.
basketball.
In second place is red, with 130 submissions, and then a tie between third and fourth with yellow and gray, both at 115 submissions. Rounding out the top five, we have white with 106 submissions. Orange ended up being the most common association for two reasons. Our first reasoning was that orange was the color of the floorboards, or just the general color of the room that they took this class in.
Oh, yeah.
The second one
It
was
seems
that
like
they chose
a
orange because of
orangey
basketball,
sort
which
of
oddly
wood.
enough ended up being the most common sport to first come to mind. Another
Yeah.
reason orange ended up being
that was
particularly
my
common
guess.
was
That's
from
why
people
it was
associating
orange.
it with heat, or making them hot or sweaty, although this was less common with just orange, and more associated with any of the hot colors. Red was also chosen for representing blood, either because the activity gets the blood pumping, or because people have some memorable experiences in the gym that were, well, let's just say injuries. Next up is music, with a total of 1,759 submissions. Two colors really rose to the top, with black in first with 233 submissions, and purple in second with 224
Black
submissions.
makes sense because it's
13.25%
the
and
color of
12.73%
notes and
respectively.
sheet music.
After that, there's a jump down to third place, which is violet with 115 submissions, then blue-purple in fourth with 105, and pink rounding out the top five with 89.
Generally,
The
if
most
it's not
common reason that people
associated
gave
with
for
sheet
black was
music,
that
it's
musical
just-
notes are written in black, which
Yeah.
is really fascinating that this impacted music so hard, considering all other subjects are also written in black text, but it stood out for music much more. Other much less common reasons for black were music stands, instrument cases, and piano keys.
Oh.
As for why purple was chosen a lot, I don't know. A lot of the people that selected purple didn't really give any reason at all. The most
Really?
common reason that I could find was relating it back to music note emojis, but even then,
Huh.
there were 1, barely anyone, and 2, split between people who know the emoji as being either purple or blue. And the blues didn't have very many submissions, so I'm still left wondering what makes purple have so many submissions.
Vibes.
Art had a total of 1,767 submissions and had clear
Wow.
domination in the pinks, purples, and red. The most common color was pink with 195 submissions, or 11.04%, followed by red in second at 180, red pink in third at 168, purple in fourth at 157, and white in fifth at 152. We were very close to having a 5th place tie for the third time with violet at 151, but they fell just 1 submission short.
Ah.
Pinks and purples ended up as the most common colors because of people just viewing them as the most artsy or creative colors. White ended up being a common choice because of associating it with a blank canvas or an empty sheet of paper.
That would
As for
make
why
sense
red
to
was
me.
chosen so often, I struggled to find a common reason in the responses, but I did get a handful that talked about it being the first color in the rainbow, or associating it with the letter A, which people also consider red. But these were much less consistent than reasonings for the purples, pinks, and white. Next up is technology, computers, and coding with 1,770 submissions.
Cyan.
This subject's most chosen color was cyan with 191 submissions, or 10.79%, followed by gray in second with 171, dark green in third with 139,
There's
green
probably
in
like
fourth with
some.
131, and light gray in fifth with 100.
I bet you. So for green and dark green, I bet you Android has something to do with it, and for gray and light gray, Apple has something to do with it.
116. Once again, there was ever so barely not a tie for 5th, with sky blue only a single submission under light gray. The most common reason for cyan was that cyan was very much a cyber, futuristic, or as a lot of people said, techie color.
Techie color, yeah.
Green and dark green similarly were associated with microchips, motherboards, the Matrix, and generic
Oh.
hacker tropes in movies in a dark room with green numbers. All of the
Yeah,
grayscales
okay.
also got a
That
significant
makes
number of
sense.
submissions, which was largely because they were associated with the physical colors of computers and machines. Next up, we have geography with 1,806
Oh, I was
submissions,
completely
the
wrong
most
on
clear-cut
that.
subject yet, as 361
Geography,
people chose
dark
dark
green,
green to
because
represent it,
that's
aka 19.99% of submissions,
color
a
of
higher percentage
a
than any other
landscape.
subject so far. In second place, we have green with 261 submissions, then brown in third with 162, orange in fourth with 119, and sky blue in fifth with 116. The most common reasoning here revolved around landscapes, forests, grass, anything natural, which almost always led to
Yeah.
a shade of green being selected. Similarly,
Yeah.
dirt, soil, ground,
That's-
and just
that's also
earth were
kind of
also very
where
common reasons, but
brown
instead led
comes
to the
from.
brown and orange selections more than anything else. There were also a number of people who chose the blues, particularly sky blue,
Probably.
because it reminded them of the color of water. Once again, looping
water,
us back to
yeah.
the color of the earth, being dominated by the water of the oceans. The fourth most submitted to subject was history, with 1,857 submissions. History had a clear winner, with brown being submitted the most out of any other color at 474 submissions, or 25.53%
And it's
of
like
all
not
submissions.
even close.
It's the first subject where the winning color had over a quarter of the submissions. In second place, we had yellow with 246 submissions, then orange in third with 215, yellow-orange in fourth with 125, and finally
That's
red
wild.
in fifth with 88.
I would have
The most
assumed
common
it would have been
association
like
people
orange or
gave
yellow.
was relating history
Wow.
with being old, which led to largely brown being selected to represent that, but
Oh.
also a lot of oranges and yellows.
Huh.
In a similar vein, people also tended to associate history with certain old things, such as paper and books, old maps, and the sepia color of old photographs, which only compiled onto these three colors even more.
Huh.
A decent number of people also associated history with bloodshed and death from various wars and conflicts, which led to red and dark red being chosen more than any other colors. These reasons weren't nearly as significant as the ones for brown, yellow, and orange, but they were still present. Before we get to the top three, I have some miscellaneous stats. The top three submitted to subjects were math, English, and science, and they all differed by only one single submission. One of these subjects has easily the most agreed upon color, and the other two both had extremely unique splits.
Huh.
A common reasoning for choosing colors across the entire board was either older colors or the notebook covers that people used when taking these subjects.
Yeah.
This was a fairly notable reason for almost every single subject, but it was especially domineering for these top three specifically, which is why you'll see that the results for these subjects are less focused on one color group, like how art was focused on the purples and pinks, and more focused on very separate, distinct colors. Or, well, you'll see that math and English were focused more on separate distinct colors, while science was the most unanimously agreed upon color, with 672 people selecting green as their choice. This was 36.07% of the submissions. In second place is dark green with 256 submissions, followed by yellow green in third with 106, and then another fifth place tie with both cyan and blue at 85.
Huh.
The reasonings for science actually surprised me a little bit. My expectation was that green would win because people would associate it with nature and plants, which was the most significant reason. However, right below it, also associating it with green, were people who associated it with chemicals in a beaker or test tube. Another example of media shaping the perceptions of colors for these subjects, just like how cyan and green being seen as cyber-futuristic and a color-associated with hackers affected the technology submissions. When we look at the lower selected colors for science, we can also see that bright and fully saturated colors had a much likelier chance of being selected compared to the lighter and darker counterparts, especially
that's
in the
more
cyans
likely
and
to be
blues.
your folder.
This was largely due
color.
to the aforementioned folder colors, as people tended to have brightly colored folders or notebooks for these subjects, but the blues and cyans were also a tad bit higher than the rest because of the chemical association, with some seeing chemicals as blue and cyan over green.
Huh.
Our second to last subject was English, in which we see a very unique pattern here, unlike anything we'd seen before. With this subject, it's our three primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, taking the lead, and I guess sky blue. Red takes first place with 393 submissions, or 21.08%, followed by yellow in second with 295, and then blue and sky blue in third and fourth with 190 and 176 submissions respectively. And then there's green in fifth with 66, but who really cares? English was especially dominated by folder colors, much more than science, and the reason that red, yellow, and blue were selected more than other colors was because English was viewed as a core or primary subject, and thus people chose a core or primary color, in paint, to give to that subject. That made people more likely to choose one of these three colors, although I also imagine that sky blue can largely be lumped in.
Because, you know, the primary colors differ with medium. When you're talking about light. And interestingly enough, printer ink, your primary colors become cyan, magenta, and yellow. But for some reason with paint, it's red, yellow, and blue.
Than with blue here, since notebook colors tended to be a bit less of an intense blue than that shade of blue. That's not to say that there weren't other common reasons at all, though. Some of the submissions also related it.
No, actually, I think I'm wrong. I think light is red, green, and blue. Well, the interesting thing about it is, like, you can take any 3 points on the wheel as long as you have an accurate wheel, and that can be your base for all the other colors. As long as they're equidistant away from each other, any set of 3 colors can be primary colors. But again, it depends on your medium.
To the English or American flag, which usually led to red and blue associations.
Yeah.
Also, really weird one, but 6 people mentioned the teacher has an apple trope, and all 6 of them related it specifically to the English teacher. This is either an extremely odd coincidence, or English teachers happen to be associated with apples more than other teachers.
Huh.
Apart from that, basically everything was just the notebook and folder colors. Finally, we end at math, which precisely proves my point in why I think for this specific dataset, the mode is so much better than the mean. Red is the winner with 549 submissions, or 29.44%, followed by blue with 368, and sky blue with 264. Then, dark blue and green in 4th and 5th with 79 and 66, but who really cares?
Huh. Yeah.
So, red clearly wins here, but again, a lot of people chose sky blue instead of regular blue, likely because it was a bit less intense of a color, so if we were to add those together, blue actually beats red. So, is math red or blue? Results inconclusive. I'm going to treat math as red for now, though. The most interesting thing about the results for math, though, is that yellow is so much lower than in English. This had an equal level of dominance on notebooks and folders being the central reasoning, as English did, so why is yellow so much lower? Well, I couldn't exactly find a reason for this, but I do have a hypothesis. A lot of people mentioned math, English, and science being the core 3 subjects they thought about when they thought of school.
Red and blue feel more primary than yellow or green.
People also tend to view red, yellow, and blue as the central colors, thanks to being the 3 primary colors in paint. A lot of people mentioned that they saw math as the central subject taught in school, before thinking of science or English. Likewise, I imagine when choosing colors for the notebooks, when people think of a central color, they either think of red or blue instead of yellow. So my hypothesis is that the association came from them associating the most prominent school subject with the most prominent color, leading to significantly more red and blue submissions than yellow. I'm not completely sure if this is the reason though, so let me know in the comments if
No,
you think
I
this is the
mean,
reason. I also think that this idea that math is the central subject might be due to my audience who filled out this poll probably being a bit more geared towards math over other subjects, considering some of the videos I've made in the past. While the notebooks and folders were the most common reason, there were still some other reasons. A decent number of people chose red because they said that math makes them angry or otherwise feels intense, and red is often seen as an intense and angry color.
That's
a decent
hilarious.
number of people chose blue or sky blue because they view it as a very technical or logical subject, and they view blue as the most technical or logical color. There's not really any more common reasons that I could find, and these ones weren't really that common, so let's move on. Here's all of the results for all of the school subjects compacted neatly into a single stacked bar chart because it's really satisfying to see them all together. And a super wide version to see the smaller colors better.
Wow.
Now, looking strictly at the most chosen colors per subject, we actually only have 2 repeats, business and geography, both with dark green, and math and English, both with red.
Huh.
If we wanted each subject to have a different color, we can compare both of these pairs, keep the one with the most submissions, and choose a different color for the one with the least. Geography gets to keep dark green over business, and math gets to keep red over English. Both of these subjects' second choices were yellow. English had 295 submissions for yellow, while business only had 171, so English gets to take yellow. Business's third choice, green, is already taken by science, so we move down to the 4th most chosen color, which was gray. Now all 12 subjects have unique colors. Wow, that was much easier than the months.
Huh.
Next up, let's average out the data for each month. As discussed in my last video about averaging colors, I'm going to show both the averages using the RGB system, color corrected for human vision, and the averages using the HSV system to get brighter colors. Here are the HSV averages. As you can see, this kind of proves my point for why averaging this data doesn't work very well, at least with math and English.
Yeah.
Because math and English were so split between a couple of extremely different choices, their averages kind of suck, especially maths, as the near equal blue and red intensity just gave us the shade of purple, which is completely inaccurate to the results, as barely anyone at all chose the purples for math. At least English is a little bit closer, with an orange tint that is at least a little bit close to red, but this still does not work well at all. Apart from those two, the other colors are much more accurate with their averages, and all of these make a pretty satisfying rainbow when combined. Though, I can't lie, the blues are lacking a bit here.
They are.
Here are the RGB averages. Here, we can see subjects such as English and home ec are significantly grayer than subjects like science and art, obviously because these subjects were much less centralized to one specific color region. This rainbow is a lot less satisfying to look at, but honestly, still pretty nice at the bottom. Another question I asked is what country everyone was from, because again, I wanted to see if there would be any interesting differences per country. The country representation was basically the exact same as the last poll, with US far and away in first place, the UK in second, and Canada in third pretty easily, followed by Australia and Brazil tied for 4th and 5th. The Philippines ended up breaking the 50 submission barrier this time though, falling just short of it in the month's poll. I initially thought there wouldn't be super significant differences between countries for this poll. However, I was wrong. Out of the 6 countries above 50 submissions, there were a lot of interesting small differences and 4 really big ones. I didn't look at any of the lesser submitted ones because there just was not enough data for me to make conclusions from. Let's go through a handful of the subjects individually and note where certain countries diverged. Starting with business, nearly every country chose dark green or yellow, which were the top 2 submissions, except for Australia, which chose light green, which was all the way down in 5th in the overall poll. I hypothesized this was because Australians had light green dollar bills, but no, Australian money is super colorful, so I actually don't know. History was the singular subject that was unanimously chosen as one color across the board, with every single country having a majority on brown. Australia and the Philippines were especially heavy on choosing brown for history, more than any of the other countries, whereas the United States actually very nearly had yellow takeover as the #1 choice for history. Geography had a similar story in which nearly every single country chose dark green, with Australia especially heavy on dark green, but the one difference was that Brazil oddly had a much higher percentage of orange submissions, tying with dark green. Technology had a couple of minor differences. Firstly, the United Kingdom was much more split, winning with dark blue, Canada ended up winning with gray, and Brazil favored the greens over the cyans. We saw that music had a split between black and purple, in which black won, but 3 countries ended up with purple winning. Australia had purple just barely win over black, while Canada and the United Kingdom had a much stronger purple win over black. Then, the United States also had a stronger win with black, and the Philippines was the strongest on black out of any country. English was split between red, yellow, and the blues. Red came out on top for the overall poll and the United States, but a number of countries had yellow as the winning color. This includes the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and the Philippines. None of them were particularly dominant with yellow, however, red was always close behind. These last four subjects are where certain countries had the largest or most interesting changes. Math, as we saw, was split between red and the blues, usually with red winning, but four countries had different things happen. Australia actually tied between sky blue and red, Brazil won with blue, and the United Kingdom won much more clearly with sky blue. The Philippines, on the other hand, had green just barely win out over red, which is quite bizarre, as green wasn't particularly chosen for any other country. I have no idea why this happened at all, when math was so dominantly red and blue for every single other country. There weren't enough Filipino responses with explanations for me to pick out a common reason. Science was our most dominant color chosen in the overall poll, with green winning. Every single country stayed pretty dominant on green, with Canada and Brazil in particular having especially high percentages on green, both of them just barely under 50%. Only one country did not win with green. They didn't even win with obvious second place dark green either. Australia won with cyan? Cyan was not chosen much at all in the original poll, or for any other countries, so the fact that Australia won with it is really bizarre to me. I didn't find any good reason for this. Maybe Australians happen to have a stronger association of chemicals being cyan?
It's high-tech or something.
Who knows? Not me.
Because it makes sense.
The next two oddities both have to do with the United Kingdom. The UK confounds me. We saw Jim have a fairly dominant win with the oranges, among other hot colors also being highly selected. Two minor differences were that Australia just barely had green win out, and Brazil instead won with yellow-orange over orange. The major difference with the United Kingdom was that the grayscale colors were especially dominant for Jim. I actually did find a reason for this, kind of. Basketball was the main reason for a lot of other countries, but that sport is much less prevalent in the UK. The sport that is more prevalent is soccer, or football, which has a white and black ball. I also think that there may be some association with the weather being rather dreary there, with grey and white skies. Again, I can't be sure about this though, since not very many people from the UK who submitted grayscale colors gave a reason. Finally, art was the most perplexing one. Art had a clear split between the pinks, purples, red, and white. Brazil was the most strong on pink, Canada and the Philippines won with white, and Australia won with red. The United Kingdom, on the other hand, won with black. This, for one, was the 12th most chosen color for art, absolutely nowhere near the top at all. But also, the black art win was extremely dominant in the UK, with a significantly higher percentage than its second most chosen color, red. To put that into further perspective, people from the United Kingdom made up only 9% of submissions for art. So, generally, you'd expect around 9% of the submissions for black to come from the United Kingdom. In actuality, a whole 60% of black submissions for art came from the United Kingdom. I could not find a concrete reason for this in the submissions, so I instead asked some of my friends why they thought this could be the case, and they said it was most likely due to these black sketchbooks that were assigned to them. The United Kingdom actually had a much stronger association with folders and notebooks than most other countries, and one of the main differences that I found was that people living in the UK were actually significantly more likely to have their folders and notebooks specifically assigned or given to them, instead of choosing them for themselves. I believe this did impact the data for the UK a lot more than any other country, although the assigned colors weren't consistent between people from the UK, so it didn't impact it as much as it could have, but it still did switch a lot of their top colors. Okay, enough of that. Here's a simplified version of the most chosen colors for each subject per country, again only including countries above 50 submissions. There's quite a number of ties, especially in the lower submitted countries. Here's a version of the same chart except with unique colors for each subject. All of the ones with ties I broke using the first color to reach the tied number of submissions. And finally, here's the average colors for each subject per country. I decided to include Germany for this one since they were just below 50 submissions. They have a number of strange differences, such as gym being yellow, art being a super light pink, math being much more blue, and business being very gray. Though, because there were so few submissions for Germany, I do kind of think a lot of this weirdness was just random chance. Just like the months video, I also looked at if people who answered yes that they had synesthesia had different answers to people who didn't. The answer to that was nope. The results pretty much matched the overall results nearly exactly. In some cases the winning color changed, such as red for art instead of pink, but like, red was only right behind pink in the overall poll, so it's really uninteresting. Kind of a shame, since I, as a synesthete, had radically different submissions for each color, and mine were never the most chosen. Alright, the last thing I want to discuss in this video is the final question. Which of these school subjects is your favorite? 1,837 people submitted to this question picking between the 12 subjects. 2 of the subjects ended up with a single-digit number of votes. Business in 12th with 5 votes, and mech in 11th with 7 votes.
Yeah.
3 subjects had a double-digit number of votes. Gym, or phys ed, in 10th place with 32 votes.
Yeah.
Drama in 9th place with 40 votes. And English in 8th place with 90 votes. Didn't expect English to be so low, but also very happy because I always hated that stupid. Every other subject got at least 100 votes. 3 subjects all just barely squeaked into the 3-digit range. Music in 7th with 103 votes, history in 6th with 109 votes, and geography in 5th with 112 votes. In 4th place, rounding out votes in the 100 to 200 range, is art with 183 votes. Now, these top 3, very predictable considering the type of audience that watches my videos.
Sure.
In 3rd place with 202 votes is technology, in 2nd place with 238 votes is science, and coming up in 1st with an insane 716 votes, more than 3 times 2nd place, is math. So, for my audience, math is the #1 subject, by quite a bit. Not surprising, since most of my previous videos are math videos. Well, that's the end of this video. Flashing across the screen right now are the terms for each individual color, showcasing how many submissions it got per subject. I left this video with a lot of unanswered questions, particularly in the country section. If you're from one of those countries and think you know the answer to why this happened, please let me know in the comments. I think it would be really interesting seeing people hypothesize on why some of the countries were so different. I would also like to add that I have a bonus video going up on my second channel talking about some extra stuff from this poll that didn't really fit into this video. Primarily going over some of the individual responses that people sent that I either found interesting or funny. It's very much less edited and more quality than this one, but still silly fun. Go look at that if you want, and maybe subscribe to that channel, because I think I might also start using that channel for other stuff I want to talk about, that are either smaller or less edited than it.
Oh, that's fun. Draining the oceans is hard.
Draining the oceans is hard. Like, normally when people talk about draining the oceans, they mean, what would happen if sea level were lowered everywhere equally? Like what we're showing here, which is what would happen if you emptied the oceans by, say, evaporating them.
Yeah.
But draining doesn't work like that. The ocean has topography, so even if you put your drain in the deepest part of the ocean, eventually some of the water, actually a lot of it, will get cut off from the drain and stick around as landlocked seas. This would be a total headache. You'll have to build new drains, or dig giant ditches, or mop up the seas with giant sponges, or something. And it's tricky to figure out where the new drains would even go. Which areas become landlocked is hard to figure out because A, erosion might wear away some of the land during the draining process and therefore partially or fully drain some otherwise landlocked seas. And B, even if you ignore erosion, it's hard to figure out if any given point will be underwater or not, because draining a basin is, in general, a non-local phenomenon. Let me explain. If you have a seafloor whose elevation is always either constant or increasing as you go away from the drain, then whether or not a given location is underwater is easy to figure out. You just look at the height of the location and compare it with the water level. If it's lower than the level of the water, then it's underwater. If it's higher, then it's dry, because the water has a path to flow all the way downhill to the drain, or the sea. We call this a local phenomenon, since what's happening at any given point just depends on the situation at that point, in this case, the local elevation. Emptying the oceans by evaporation is also local, since the water level everywhere will be the same, and you can just compare the elevation of any given location with the water level at that location. That's how we made the evaporating oceans map. Take an elevation map of the ocean and check each pixel to see if it's above the water level, in which case we show the map, or below it, in which case we color the pixel blue. But draining real oceans with a drain is more complicated. Whether or not water escapes from a given location depends on whether or not there's a path for water to travel between that location and the drain. And that drainage path could be circuitous and travel far away from both the location and the drain itself, which is the case for lots of real-world rivers. In 2D, draining realistic-looking oceans is still pretty easy, even if it's non-local. You just check if every point between the location and the drain is below the height of that location. If so, then voila, water can drain from that location. And if not, if there's a high point between a given location and the drain, then you have a landlocked basin. We call this a non-local phenomenon because what's happening at any given point depends not just on the situation at that point, but also what's going on elsewhere. In 3D, draining oceans is more complicated, because even if there are mountains all around you, all it takes is one path that has no high point between your location and the drain to drain your location. And there are essentially infinite possible paths you'd have to check to know for sure you're in a landlocked sea. But we can use a clever trick that doesn't require separately checking all paths. If you're interested in puzzles, now's the time to pause the video and see if you can figure it out. Okay, here comes the solution in 3, 2, 1. The trick is to realize that in 3D, filling is easier than draining. There are efficient flooding algorithms, which are essentially the same as the magic wand or paint bucket tool in image editing software that allow you to select or fill up to a certain depth. They work by starting with an initial point. Instead of a drain, think of it like a water spigot, and flooding outwards by comparing the colors, or height in our case, at neighboring points, and filling them in and keeping going as long as the height or color difference stays within a given amount, called the threshold of the height of the initial point. Once the threshold is passed, the algorithm stops expanding in that direction, and any points that you've reached are considered flooded or filled. There's a whole field of physics and math called percolation theory that you can get into just by pondering the paint bucket tool. But anyway, if you keep flooding or paint bucketing with higher and higher thresholds, i.e. higher water levels, then eventually you'll fill in landlocked areas as well as regular seafloor. But there's a big difference in how they get covered with water, since landlocked seas fill all at once when the water level gets high enough to flood into the basin, while regular seafloor is just gradually covered up as the water level rises. One way to visualize basins is to look at just the new area that gets flooded each time you increase the water level. I think this time-lapse is mesmerizing and is reminiscent of bacterial growth or the spread of wildfire or disease or something. The big flashes are the basins getting filled in. By comparing the water level necessary to inundate a location for the first time with the elevation of that location, you can find what points are in landlocked seas. If the elevation of the location is equal to the water level that inundates it, it's not landlocked, while if the elevation of the location is below the necessary water level, it must have been landlocked. And that necessary water level is the water level of the landlocked sea that would form there, ignoring erosion. Once you've completely flooded everything and found all the landlocked seas, you can play the flooding in reverse, but keep the landlocked seas, and voila, you have successfully drained the oceans. There are a few subtleties here. For one, the world is a sphere, not a rectangle, so you have to allow the flooding, aka the paint bucket tool, to extend around from one side of the map to the other. Second, the elevation map needs to be sufficiently high resolution to account for narrow drainage paths. Like if we try to fill the oceans at too low of a resolution, the Mediterranean and Black Seas don't flood. Using a higher resolution allows the paint bucket tool to pass through the Strait of Gibraltar and the Turkish Straits. And third, it's surprisingly hard to get a good depth map of the real oceans, in part because ocean depths are less important than land-based elevations, so accurate maps aren't as highly prioritized, and in part because ocean depths are way harder to measure. There are large swaths of the ocean whose depths we don't know about in much detail at all. But if you can get a good ocean depth map, and remember that the Earth is a sphere, the best way to chart the drained ocean and landlocked seas is this. Start in reverse, mapping out what would happen if you filled the ocean up by plugging the drain and flooding it from that location. Any point that gets covered with water for the first time when the water level reaches the same elevation as that point will always drain to the drain. But if a point first becomes covered with water only after the water is already higher than that point, then that point is in a landlocked sea. And now you know where to put the secondary drains so that when you pull the plugs, the ocean will finally be fully... Wait, there are new landlocked seas that appeared inside the previously landlocked seas when we drained them? I give up. If someone actually drains the oceans tomorrow, you'll certainly hear about it on the news, with some outlets reporting, oceans drained due to human activity. One human, his name is Randall, and others saying, oceans may or may not be drained, but if so, it's part of Earth's natural ocean draining cycle. And yet others with headlines like, what is an ocean? No one knows. If any of that happens, you'll want to use Ground News, this video's sponsor, to help battle your news overstimulation.
Ground News. Well, we like Ground News in this household. I don't ever really use it much, but I like it.
Guy here. I was walking a friend home one evening and I mentioned to her that I'm quite oblivious about when a girl likes me. I said, a girl could smack me on the head and I wouldn't realize she was into me. She then smacked me on the back of my head and I responded with, ow, what the hell was that for? I mean, he specifically told her that wouldn't work. Guy here. I was walking a friend home one evening and I mentioned to her that I'm quite oblivious about when a girl likes me. I said, a girl could smack...
The human race never ceases to amaze. Google search volume for Eyes Hurt, April 3rd to April 10th, 2024. Total solar eclipse path, April 8th, 2024. Okay, but what were they doing in California and Arizona? It's just sunny there. Eyes hurt, too sunny. The human race never ceases to amaze. Google.
Today we got an email from the police saying that there was a suspicious person on campus wearing a mask and a Hawaiian shirt with a camera strapped to their chest while hiding in the bushes. Later, we got another email saying to disregard the warning because it was actually a biology student studying if a mockingbird reacts to the human's face. Something about this seems comical to me. Science! Biology student.
Do you remember these brothers from Pokemon? Rainer, Sparky, and Pyro? Do you think they dyed and styled their hair like that because they love their evolutions so much? Were they born with hair like that? Chose their evolutions based on the destiny their hair foretold? Or did they all start out with brown hair like their little brother Mikey? Do you remember these brothers from Pokemon? Rainer?
Hi, how can I help you?
Can I get one ocean breeze, please?
Okay, sure. One?
Can you rush the order, please? Because I'm in a rush.
Okay, sure.
Do you remember?
Hi. Can I get one? Can you rush the OP, please? Because I'm in a rush.
Oh, okay, sure.
You can do it! You can do it! Hi.
Imagine
Dude.
Steve getting Call Me Maybe.
I don't want to fucking understand when people say, "Oh, put a rush on my food." It's like, first of all, like, if it's busy, you're not going to take priority over other people who came in an order first. And if it's not busy, then what the fuck do you think we're going to do? Not fucking make it? Like, it just doesn't, it doesn't fucking make any sense to me.
When I was 4 or 5, my mom was a professor at a college, and she used to hand me the Scantron sheet before she wrote the exam and let me color whatever lettered bubble I wanted for each answer. If I colored 2 by accident, she made an all of the above option. One time she gave me it, and I colored the A bubble for each of the 130 questions except for the last one, and she just went with it. Later on, she told me that it was one of the most entertaining exams she ever watched her students take. When I was 4 or 5, my mom was a professor at a college, and she used to hand me the Scantron sheet before she wrote the exam and let me color whatever lettered bubble I wanted for each answer. If I colored 2 by accident, she made an all of the above option. One time she gave me it, and I colored the A bubble for each of the 130 questions except for the last one, and she just went with it. Later on, she told me that it was one of the most entertaining exams she ever watched her students take. When I was 4 or 5, my—
Oh no.
Wake up. Bro. Wake up.
Your lemonade, sir?
Thanks. Magneto, are you interested in joining my team of mutants fight?
Hello?
Oh, jeez, it's a girl. May I speak to the man of the house?
This is the woman of the house, and there is no man living here.
No? Wait, what is... how are you paying for this phone?
I'm a lawyer.
Oh, I see. And are you in your little courthouse right now, representing Barbie?
Hello?
Oh.
Stop crying. It won't do any good. And anyway, you have a lot of work to do, starting right now. Stop crying. It won't do any good. And anyway, you have a lot...
Alright, I'm popping another steel cocoon pack. Still trying to chase Grady and Golden Moth. It's like the only good thing in the set. Take out the trash token. The rest of the set is trash. This has been like an abysmal launch. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, holy crap. Holy crap! Holy crap! We got it! We got it, dude! Last pack! Last pack! We got it!
That's so cute.
Another steel cocoon pack.
It's funny how whenever a major media site publishes a bloviating think piece about the rise and fall of Tumblr, their elaborately justified list of things about Tumblr that modern social media users hate just happens to be perfectly one-to-one identical with a list of things about Tumblr that make it difficult for advertisers to harvest personally identifying information about individual users. Like, exactly who do y'all think you're fooling, buddy? Tumblr died because people just hate websites that don't have intrusive advertising built into the platform. I especially like the ones that frame arguments to the effect of having no functional ability to curate your user experience is actually a good thing, because people are inherently lazy and content recommendation algorithms can be trusted to act in everyone's best interests. It's funny how whenever a major media site publishes a bloviating think piece about the rise and fall of Tumblr, their elaborately justified list of things about Tumblr that modern social media users hate just happens to be perfectly one-to-one identical with a list of things about Tumblr that make it difficult for advertisers to harvest personally identifying information about individual users. Like, exactly who do y'all think you're fooling, buddy? Tumblr died because people just hate websites that don't have intrusive advertising built.
What's one thing that you know now about Pokemon that you wish you knew as a kid? You can breed Pokemon with other Pokemon. When I was a kid, I thought you had to leave 2 of the same Pokemon at the daycare, 1 male and 1 female, in order for them to have an egg. You didn't know that? Nope. I had no idea that egg groups existed, and that would have been really useful to know when I had Eevee. Why's that? Because you only get one Eevee in the game, and it made me extremely stressed out trying to decide which evolution I was going to evolve it into. Flareon, Jolteon, or Vaporeon. What stone am I going to use? As a kid, that was a major dilemma. Why didn't you just pick Flareon? It should have been an easy choice. It's your favorite evolution. Because I already had Arcanine. I didn't really have a need for another Fire-type Pokemon on my team. But didn't your rival have Venusaur? Yeah, but he's easy to deal with. So then who did you end up picking? Vaporeon or Jolteon? Neither. Trying to choose which one I was going to evolve him into stressed me out so much that I decided it'd be better to just not evolve him. I kept Eevee as Eevee. You seriously didn't evolve him? No. In fact, that entire situation made me so stressed that I decided it'd be in my best interest to never see Eevee ever again. So you boxed him? Boxed him? No. I released him. What's one thing that you know now about
Pluto isn't a planet? Fine.
He said
Dinosaurs
never.
have feathers? Fine. Neptune isn't a beautiful oceanic blue. It's actually the same washed out, disappointing color as Uranus. I will kill you with my bare hands. Original 2-color with exaggerated color. Color recalibrated in 2016, preserving some enhancement for contrast. Color recalibrated in 2023, approximating true color. Look how they massacred my boy. Oh, and if you thought Uranus was boring before, boy have I got news for you. Default blender ball. Pluto isn't a planet? Fine. Dinosaurs had feathers? Fine. Neptune isn't a beautiful oceanic blue. It's actually the same washed out, disappointing color as Uranus. I will kill you with my—
3 women die in an accident and go to heaven. St. Peter says, we only have one rule here, don't step on the ducks. They enter, the ducks are everywhere. It's nearly impossible to not step on one. The first woman accidentally does, and St. Peter arrives with the ugliest man she has ever seen. He chains them together. Your punishment for stepping on a duck is spending an eternity with this man. The next day, the second woman also steps on a duck. St. Peter appears with another extremely ugly man and chains them together, giving the same warning. The third woman, having seen this, is extra careful. After months of success, St. Peter chains her to the most handsome man she's ever seen. Thrilled, she says, what did I do to deserve you? He replies, I stepped on a duck. 3 women die in an accident and go to heaven. St. Peter says,
the bus driver looked at me through the mirror and said, kid, don't get off at your stop today. Call your mom right now. I looked up confused because Mr. Bax never talked to individual kids unless someone was throwing things or starting fights. He'd been driving Route 47.
$8 for that chicken? I do not think so. Excuse me? I will give you 4. What? 4 or I am walking away.
I can't change the price of the groceries.
Okay, I am walking away. You will lose the sale. Lizzie puts everything back. We are walking away.
What is he doing?
Just watch.
Okay, Sean, you are good. All right, credit to your profession. I will give you $5 for the chicken.
I couldn't do that even if I wanted to. The computer doesn't let us.
Okay, so you want to. We're getting somewhere. Move aside. I can figure it out. Here is a button to override the store price. Just put in your employee number.
Manager, to checkout 3, we have a, I don't know what.
While you're at it, these avocados were $2 each last time I was here. Now they're $2.50.
Problem here? There is no problem. We have just agreed that this chicken will be $5. Now, let's talk about the avocados. Nothing I can do about the avocados, but you can have the chicken for $5 if you just leave. Deal. See? By the way, Tom, Sean here is an excellent employee. If you cannot give him a raise, you can certainly send him home with some nice meat for his family. $8 for that chicken? I do not think so. Excuse me? I will give—
Okay, liar! No, you promised me it was a fresh bird that Mrs. Burbank. It was just a mistake, okay? Just calm the down.
It was in the orange box. How did she get in here?
You think you can treat people this way?
Hey,
you crazy! If I can't sleep, you will!
She's not hurting me. We saw her. She was going after Trick with that thing, man. It was a spoon. Dude, you killed Mrs. Bergman, bro. I didn't.
Man, what the f do we do, man?
We have to call the police.
No. Let's think about this, okay? We have to get rid of the body, obviously, and the evidence. We have to think about everything that could have her DNA on it. The window.
I'm gonna die in prison. They're gonna tear me apart. I'm gonna grab a trash bag from the dish.
Aaron, get a box of rubber gloves. Clint, get a mop and a bottle of bleach. Just tear
Bro.
What are we doing?
Just stay calm and we can do this. Go.
Where's my wife? Janet!
See, now that's regular. Whoa. Why has it gotta be me killing him? Like, why not Pickles? He did time. Because Pickles isn't here tonight. Yeah, this whole thing is about a Trick gave Mrs. Bergman regular tonight. It's a true crime podcast. Details matter.
But this isn't a podcast, and you just made it all up, so...
You guys are sick. Anyways, now do they just drag the bodies out and put them in the dumpster? Yes. Or do they drag them out to the river? Maybe.
Here, Trick, coffee's ready.
You know what? I'm gonna make a fresh pint of you. Now we just need to get some podcast equipment. Yes. Okay.
How an N cost my company $65,000. I have been waiting about 2 months for this fallout in all of its glory. I knew my boss would try to make me the fall guy, but I think I employed cover your butt well in this instance. A little backstory. I work as an office engineer at a mid-sized prefabricated concrete structures plant. About 3 months ago, our plant manager left spontaneously for a much higher paying gig down south. Due to this, his responsibilities were distributed to whoever had capacity. I was put in charge of purchasing, with the caveat that any purchase order over $5K had to be reviewed by that project's project manager. This was due to a mistake, due in part to my inexperience and in part to my overconfidence. I made on an order, which only cost us a couple grand, but delayed a project. Also due to low labor costs and the size of our own steel shop, we have most of our large steel structures fabricated just across the border in Canada. Okay, on to the story. Our general manager is acting project manager on a project which includes a large steel frame surrounded by concrete modules. I was told to get this frame quoted by our Canadian metal fabricator. I get the quote back and throw together the purchase order. When I look back through the project specifications before sending the purchase order for review, I see our project has a Buy American clause, not Buy America, as we had assumed. Almost all of our projects are Buy America, and we're very familiar with it. This little N makes all the difference. Under Buy America, a Canadian fabricator can use American steel and meet every requirement. However, under Buy American, all steel must be domestic and all fabrication must be done in the US. My GM was out of town on what was essentially a vacation to a project site we have in Hawaii and was having none of my calls and emails marked as urgent. I informed him in a couple emails and multiple voicemails that we had to go to a different fabricator or the project would be rejected. I got an angry email back telling me to place the order immediately. I tried one more call in desperation, straight to voicemail, and then sent him over the completed purchase order with the Buy American spec attached, telling him this is way over my 5K limit and I need to get him to approve it before I send it out. He approved it in less than 10 minutes. I sent it and waited for the fallout. Well, it finally happened. Our product was delivered yesterday, and today the project owner sent over an inspector to make sure everything was done per project drawings. He noticed the manufacturer right away and told us he would have to reject the product purely because it does not meet Buy American. In less than 20 minutes, I was getting an earful from my GM asking me why this wasn't caught before we wasted over 60 grand on something that would clearly be rejected. I let him finish his rant, insulting my intelligence, threatening firing me, breaking protocol, the works. I asked him to pull up my emails from the order date and showed him that he was informed of the issue and my concerns were ignored. He didn't take this well and told me to get the heck out of his office. Oops. Now there's nothing left but to wait. Our project will be delayed at least a month, and the owner of our company is getting involved. I have the emails saved on a jump drive at home, and the phone logs, while not recording the conversations, show that I left multiple voicemails on the same day. Cannot be touched by the GM. Still a bit nervous, but I think I covered myself pretty well. How an N cost my company $65,000. I have been waiting about 2 months for this fallout, and all of it.
After this girl was asked for chocolate syrup in the Coke, she came across the craziest flavor.
She said 4 tablespoons. Girl, just do it. Come on, let's go. Teamwork. Chocolate Cokes. Oh my god.
What do you need the blanket for?
I'm a time traveler, and when I do, I don't get to bring my clothes. In fact, you and I are friends in the future, when you're a lady.
Am I pretty?
Yes, very.
Prove you're from the future.
Your name is Claire Absher, born May 24th, 1972. I'll be back again, lots of times. And it'd be great if when you come then, you could bring me some clothes. Something your dad won't miss. Nice to meet you.
Finally, I brought you a turkey leg. Are you married?
Yes, I am.
Is your wife a time traveler?
No, thank God.
Do you love her?
Yes, very much.
We're having a baby.
Beautiful.
Daddy?
Alba, how old are you? When is this?
9.
You're 9? And your mom still leaves clothes?
She says you never know.
I love you.
What do you need the blanket for?
I'm a time traveler. And when I do, I don't get to...
You got me the wrong lunch.
I know you said don't ask, but I have to ask. Why do you have a bird?
I hope this doesn't offend any Italians, but we're making cacio e pepe.
Cacio e pepe. I always thought of a king-sized bed as being a bit bigger than a queen, but now that I have one, I can tell you that a king-sized bed is an absurdity. I can sprawl out, my husband can sprawl out, and the cat can sprawl out, and none of us are touching. I reach out in the night and find only pillows and plush walruses. I reach further and eventually find his elbow. He rolls over to comforters to try and find me. I have crossed oceans of bed to be with you, he says. There is a vast expanse of bed untouched, unmapped, unexplored. The cat is still trying to sleep on my face.
Okay, but how do you think our resident trash lord would feel upon connecting the dots with enough intel that not only did he almost shoot down his own son during the Death Star trench run, but he almost...
We're just gonna take our pasta and put it in the pot. What we're gonna do is if you just wait like, 5 seconds, it's gonna soften. Sometimes you gotta help it along a little bit. And you always want to keep track of which side was sticking out, because at the end we're gonna compensate. I remember when I was a kid growing up, my friend Justin and I wanted to make a roller coaster, so we started saving money by putting our lunch money in a shoebox. And after about 6 months, we had a couple $100 in there, but it turns out that my friend Justin's sister's boyfriend had found the shoebox and he stole the money to pay for an abortion.
Oh!
Okay, this is looking just about ready.
Oh!
We're just gonna...
They should really bring back poisoning to Pokemon. What? They should bring back poisoning in Pokemon. Your generation is soft. You don't even know what it's like to experience heartache. Having your Pokemon get poisoned by a Weedle while touring around the Viridian Forest, opening your bag to find out you don't have any antidotes, all while being 101 steps away from the nearest Pokemon Center and your Pokemon only has 25 hit points left. That is heartache. You want to bring back status effects outside of battle? Why? That sounds like a terrible idea. Why? In my opinion, it makes the game better and more realistic. While they're at it, they should get rid of that silly little screen glitch and that awful sound that you hear every 4 steps that you take to remind you that your Pokemon is poisoned. You just like to watch the world burn, don't you? Pokemon is a game for kids. Do you really want to see them cry? No, but I do want them to understand the feeling of loss and the importance of being prepared. If we had to experience it growing up, then so should they. To be honest, I don't think it'd go over the way that you think it would. The only person that'd be experiencing heartache is you. Why would I be the one that experiences that? Because my generation isn't soft. We're efficient. And you know what's more efficient than always having a bunch of antidotes on hand? Having full heals instead of antidotes so that you can cure any status effect? No. True efficiency is speedrunning your Pokemon fainting so that you white out and teleport to the nearest Pokemon Center. You call us soft, I call us savage. They should really bring back poisoning to Pokemon. What? They should bring...
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it's more of a, it's just kind of like a fucking, it's only really like in fucking Nuzlocke that you really have to worry.
What did your child say in court that ended up saving someone's life? My husband, Daniel, had been locked up for nearly 8 months, accused of trying to murder our neighbor, Carl. Police had found Carl beaten almost to death in the shed behind our house. Daniel swore he was innocent, but everything looked awful. His fingerprints were on the wrench. Carl identified him as the attacker, and Daniel couldn't prove where he was at the time. The only possible witness was our 7-year-old son, Leo. At first, the lawyer didn't want to put him on the stand. He was just a kid, but I kept insisting, because the night Daniel got arrested, Leo had told me something strange. He said his dad wasn't hurting the man, he was helping him. At first, I thought Leo was confused, or just protecting his father, but the more he described it, the more his version didn't line up with what the police were saying. When Leo was finally called to testify, the courtroom went silent. He climbed into the witness chair, his legs swinging, wearing his favorite green shirt with dinosaurs on it. The judge asked if he promised to tell the truth, and he nodded seriously. Then he began in that matter-of-fact way kids do. He said he'd been looking out his bedroom window because he heard shouting. He saw Uncle Carl stumble into our yard already bleeding, clutching his chest. Carl kept collapsing and couldn't stand up straight. Leo said his dad ran outside after hearing the noise, but instead of attacking Carl, he was holding a kitchen towel to his head, trying to stop the bleeding. Then Leo said he saw a man in a black hoodie sneak up behind Daniel and hit him. The hooded guy dropped the wrench right beside my husband before sprinting off through the back fence. Daniel collapsed unconscious. According to Leo, that's how the wrench ended up with his fingerprints. He even pointed to the exact spot on his own head where Carl had been bleeding. The prosecutor tried to shake him, asking how he could see in the dark. Leo calmly replied that the motion sensor light clicked on when Carl first fell. The courtroom was stunned. Because of that testimony, the judge ordered police to recheck the neighborhood cameras using the timeline Leo gave. And sure enough, there was footage of a hooded figure walking near our street minutes before the attack.
Wow.
Investigators quickly identified him as Carl's former business partner, Martin. Carl had cheated him out of money, and Martin had a history of violent behavior. He lived only a couple blocks away. Within a week, Martin was arrested, and all charges against Daniel were dropped. When Daniel finally came home, Leo hugged him tight and simply said, "See, I told them you were helping." What did your child say in court that ended up saving someone's life? My husband, Dan...
After 11 years of wondering if Turkish Delight is good enough to sell out my family, I finally made some. So, is it? Well, if I was a 10-year-old in 1940 during World War II when there was sugar rationing, and I'd been sent away to some stranger's house with my siblings who, particularly the elder two, were being real jerks, and I had no idea that the seemingly kind lady offering the Turkish Delight was the literal embodiment of evil, who would kill my family and myself when she no longer longer had any use for us, then yeah, I would. After 11 years of wondering if Turkish Delight is good enough to...
I haven't shaved my legs in a really long time. And while I was babysitting, my skirt edged up a bit, and the 7-year-old I was watching said, "Ew, you should shave that. Hair's not supposed to..."
Dress codes that aren't people are stupid. As an adult human being with a relatively functioning brain, I have never walked into a place and given a freaking what an employee was wearing professional. Okay, Behi can make up adjectives too. Grundless, see easy. What's grundless mean? Of or pertaining to grundle. Dress codes that aren't people are stupid. As an adult human being with a relatively functioning brain, I have never walked into a place and given a freaking what an employee was wearing professional. Okay, Behi can make up adjectives too. Grundless.
Hey man, I just built a gaming PC. Now what?
Hey, congrats! Install the OS.
Already got...
I mean, in like a place like Walmart, you kind of have to have a uniform, because if you're just walking around in regular clothes, like, people need to walk up to you and ask you, like, hey, do you know where this is? Yeah.
Got Windows loaded up.
All right, update the BIOS to the latest version.
Got it. What's next?
Ooh, is this Intel or AMD?
AMD.
Okay, enable Expo so that your RAM runs at full speed.
Okay. Wait, does Intel not have that?
Oh, it does. It's just called XMP.
Oh, cool. What else?
Update Windows, then chipset.
No professor ever tries to accuse you of using ChatGPT, just do this, okay? Literally, I'm a TA. I just had a professor try to tell me the student wrote his paper with ChatGPT and he was going to give him a 0 on the paper. This is what I did instead. What I did was I pulled up the student's paper on Google Docs, which is where he submitted it. And when I pulled it up, I basically went over here and then I went to this blue dot down here. And when I click on it, what it pulls up is the Watch Writing Report feature from GPT-0. And it gives a full video of the student typing the paper in real time. And then it shows all the pastes and the edits. This one you can see the pastes are all the way down here, which means they're his sources. And then I took the typing analysis and I showed him it's a natural typing pattern because of the pauses, errors, and proof of effort with an 81% natural score. But just the video alone proves that he did not use ChatGPT, he typed this paper, and why are you trying to give a student a 0 on a paper that he deserves the grade, he deserves an A? No professor ever tries to accuse you of using ChatGPT, just do this, okay? Literally, I'm a TA. I just had a professor try to tell me.
Are you ever in class and you hear a random muffled scream from a nearby class and you're like, the f***'s going on? What the kind of school did y'all go to? Public school? One time this happened and instead of a scream, it was really loud bagpipes. And we all kind of thought about it for a minute before going, oh, it's probably Kevin. God damn, Kevin, not again. There was a lizard in the shower, so I said hello to it and the person showering next to me was like, hi? I wasn't sure whether to carry on the conversation or be like, sorry, I was talking to a lizard. I donate blood in the hopes that my blood will overpower theirs and take control of their body so I will gain another vessel to use as my own. Why am I reblogging this? It appears my blood has been successful. Are you ever in class and you hear a random muffled...
Wait, just give me a...
That's enough. Put it back now.
Ow! I think a needle got left in the organ.
That's not possible. We never suture inside the gallbladder.
Oh, okay. There is something sharp in here. Maybe it's an edge of a gallstone?
I'm coming. There is something protruding. Small forceps?
Is it a hair?
It's a metal wire. We need the strongest magnet we have. Stat.
What are you gonna do with that?
Maybe slightly painful, but it's much safer than another surgery. Open wide and say, ah.
That was in my tonsil?
Yes, it caused an infection and fluid buildup in your ear and irritated your carotid artery, which caused the neurological symptoms. You shouldn't ever clean a cooking surface with a wire brush, or let someone slap you, or shoot you with a foam shotgun slug.
That is so cool.
Yes.
Wait, just give me a...
That's enough. Put it back now.
Ow! I think a needle...
Alright, I think that's enough today.